Om Tavagatamritam Saptajivanam Kavibhireditam Kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Shrimadatam Bhuvivananti Bhurirajana. Your words are like nectar, bring life to scorched souls. They are praised by poets and remove all sin. They are auspicious to hear, wonderful and exalted. Those who spread these words throughout the world are truly giving souls. Maharaj, it's, it's reversed. Does it make any difference? Yeah. The shrine is on this side instead of this side.
This side only.
Does it make any difference?
It won't make any difference. Only Thakur will not look nice.
Okay, welcome everyone to our class on the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. We're on the chapter Festival at Adhar's house, and this chapter began on page 499, Sunday, August 3rd, and it starts out in Sri Ramakrishna's room, and some devotees had come, and we're still there. We'll get to Adhar's house a little later in the chapter, but it begins this way. So we're on page 507. The master referred to Haripada and said, "He came here the other day." No, that was
What?
No, she did it. That was from her. Yeah. The master referred to Haripada and said, "He came here the other day. He knows how to sing the stories of the Purana. He sings melodiously about the life of Prahlada and the nativity of Sri Krishna." Master, is that so? That day I looked into his eyes, but they had an inward look. I asked him whether he meditated a great deal, but he sat with his eyes cast down and didn't answer. Then I said to him, "Look here, don't strain yourself too much." This is actually a very, very important point, especially the beginning of spiritual life. How much should we push ourselves, and how much should we be easy on ourselves? It's a very, very delicate point. They sometimes talk about the string of a veena. If it's not tight enough, it won't sound right, and if you tighten it too much, it'll snap. So we have to make sure that we're not too easy on ourselves, make up excuses, and not do our meditation. And at the same time, there has to be a little release valve. There has to be times when we feel that we're overdoing it, and we have to back off a little bit. It's a very delicate kind of a balance. Always good to build up to things gradually. I'll tell you a funny thing, that when I first joined the monastery in California, in Trabuco Canyon, the first question that they asked me was, did I know anything about plumbing? I thought it was kind of an odd question, but anyhow, this is we were out in the country and we had to do all the physical work ourselves, and so anyhow, I ended up being a helper to one of the monks who did all of the plumbing. And there's a tool called a pipe cutter. Very primitive. It seems like a very primitive tool. It's a clamp with a very sharp kind of wheel, steel wheel, really sharp. And you tighten the clamp and you turn it once. And it'll put a tiny, light little groove. You tighten it again, you turn it again. Tighten it again, turn it again. Next thing you know, you've gone through a thick piece of pipe. It's a remarkable thing. But if you make it too tight in the beginning, you can't turn it. And if it's too loose and you don't keep tightening it, it'll just go in the same groove. It won't cut deeper and deeper. So I was thinking that spiritual life is like that. That we don't want to make it so tight and so difficult on ourselves that we can't do anything. And at the same time, we have to keep gradually increasing, if not the time and length of meditation, then it leads to the seriousness and depth of our commitment to spiritual life. And then it'll be a very simple thing. We'll have no idea that we're able to cut through such a strong piece of Maya. And just by doing it a little bit gradually. I don't know if they have that tool anymore. It's very old type of thing, but it's remarkable how well it worked. So this is Sri Ramakrishna knows. We'll see the same thing with Latu, with Latu Maharaj, that he'll tell him, don't do so much. That you look like you've lost your appetite, you can't do anything, or you're doing too much meditation. Generally, we think it's impossible to do too much, but if we push too much, then there's a danger that we'll give up completely or we'll go mad. This also can happen. It's not a common thing, and we shouldn't be worried about it too much, but we have to be sensible when it comes to spiritual practice. It was now dusk. Sri Ramakrishna, as was usual with him during this part of the day, chanted the names of God and turned his mind to contemplation. Soon the moon rose in the sky. The temples, courtyards, and trees were bathed in its silvery light, and millions of broken moons played on the rippling surface of the Ganges. Rakal and M were with the master in his room. Master to M. Baburam says, "Oh, the worldly life, God forbid." Now we have to remember, now Baburam, this is, what did we say? What year? 1884? 1884. So he was born in 1861, I think. So still quite young. So this is the kind of thing that we expect from people. They've lived a long life, that they've suffered so much in the world and everything. So it'll sound a little funny, especially to M, that here he's just a kid saying all of this. So M, his opinion is based on mere hearsay. What does he know of the world? He is a mere child. Master, that is true. Now, this is also something that my own observation, that sometimes Sri Ramakrishna is extremely kind. Now, he could easily say to M, what do you know? I know this Baburam. He's a great spiritual soul. Thakur knows that. But he's just agreeing with him. Yes, because he knows how much M has suffered in the world. It's actually a very kind thing that he knows that when M says his opinion is based on mere hearsay, there's a whole history behind that statement. How unhappy M was with the family life. And I think the son had already died at this point. I think so. Yeah, and his wife was half mad and everything. So thinking of this Baburam, who's just a boy who hasn't had these life experiences and everything, he's making that statement. So Sri Ramakrishna, really, I think, out of kindness, he could have come back at him. What do you know about the world? But very nicely, he says, yes, that is true. Then he says, have you noticed Niranjan? So these are two of the very intimate, direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. Baburam becomes Swami Premananda. Niranjan, Swami Niranjanananda. Have you noticed Niranjan? He is utterly artless. M. Yes, sir. His very appearance attracts people. If you look at his picture, you can see always straight and strong and very powerful, heroic type of figure, handsome, he's a strong figure. How expressive his eyes are, Master. Not only his eyes, but his entire person. His relatives proposed that he marry. At this he said, "Why are you going to drown me?" With a smile. Tell me this. People say that a man finds great pleasure in the company of his wife after the hard work of the day. M. That is no doubt true of those who think that way. Now, it all goes back to M's state of mind. That M is just thinking, yeah, you can say that, but what if you come home and your wife is half mad and in grief over the death of a child and everything? How wonderful is it to come home that way? To Rakal with a smile. We are now being examined. This is a leading question. Both Rakal and M were married. Yeah, how concerned Sri Ramakrishna was at the thought that Narendra, they were arranging a marriage for him and everything would be spoiled. And how he seemed to know with the Rakal, Swami Brahmananda, that it wouldn't disturb things at all, his spiritual life or his future and everything. It's very interesting. Master with a smile. A mother says, I shall heave a sigh of relief if I can procure a shade tree for my son. There's a footnote. The word means wife. What is the, do you have the Bengali? So it's not really any word that means wife. It means references to wife. Yeah. He will rest in its shade when scorched by the heat of the world. M. True, sir, but there are parents and parents. A father who is spiritually illumined doesn't give his children in marriage. If he does, his is a fine spirituality. So again, this is a little bit of this cynical view based on his own experience, M, because he suffered so much and had such a longing desire for renunciation. Actually, parents, if they don't find a suitable marriage for their children, are being negligent in their duties. It's not that all the children will say, oh, how wonderful. Most of them want to get married and have family and a career and everything like that. So, and it really with them, everything is very personal in this section. Yeah. They're thinking how he would have been better off, how after meeting Sri Ramakrishna, how he longed to lead the life of renunciation. So this is just a little casual talk between Sri Ramakrishna and M, but you can just see this everything underlying the questions and the answers, and really Sri Ramakrishna's kindness with all of this, and agreeing, yes, he's just a boy, he doesn't understand the world and everything, when actually these were two great souls, the Baburam. Adhar Sen arrived from Calcutta and saluted the master. After a few minutes, he went to the temple of Kali, where M followed him. Now, Adhar, we know he used to go every night to Sri Ramakrishna, sometimes fall asleep and everything, but still. And he also would have this kirtan singer, Vaishnav Charan, would come to his house and sing. And yeah, his case is so interesting that somehow he compressed many, many years into just a very short period and then died after coming to Sri Ramakrishna, just a short time, as if they both knew that he didn't have any time to waste. A little later, M was sitting at the bathing ghat on the Ganges. The flood tide had just set in. As he listened to the waters lapping against the bank, many pictures of Sri Ramakrishna's divine life flitted before his mind. The master's deep samadhi his constant ecstasy, his joy in the love of God, his untiring discourse on spiritual life, his genuine love for the devotees, and above all, his childlike simplicity. Who was this man? Was it God who had embodied himself on earth for the sake of his devotees? Adhar Sen returned to the master's room. Adhar had been to Chittagong in East Bengal on official duty. He was a deputy magistrate. He was telling the master about his visit to the Chandranath Hills and Sitakund, sacred places of Chittagong. Yeah, I went there. When my first trip to Bangladesh, I made it a point to visit all of the places that Swamiji went to when the end of very last year or so of Swamiji's life, he had the desire to take his mother on pilgrimage to all the places of East Bengal and Assam. So there were half a dozen places plus Shillong he went to and other places like that. So I had a great desire, and everyone, of course, these are well-known places. So I went to all of the places where they went. This Chandranath is a beautiful temple. You have to climb 3 hours. Yeah, exactly. Yes, we had a 3-hour climb right on top of the hills, the Chittagong. Those are beautiful. Are you from there? Sitakund, that area. Now, Sitakunda, we have an ashram there. It was a private ashram. Now it's been taken over. It's a full center.
There was some problem there. Some Muslim went there and they tried to pray there.
Oh.
Yeah, they want to take over.
Okay, that's enough. So Adha had been to Chittagong in East Bengal on official duty. He was telling the master about his visit to Chandranath Hills and Sitakunda, at sacred places of Chittagong, Adhar. Near Sitakunda, I visited a well where I saw fire in the water. It is always burning on the water with leaping tongues. Master, how is that possible? Adhar, the water contains phosphorus. Presently, Ram Chatterjee entered the room. The master said some kind words about him to Adhar. Ram Chatterjee was a priest of the Radha Govinda temple, I think, at that time. I looked it up before. For some reason, he's referred to as Ram Chakrabarti also. Same person, it seems. And anyhow, his name comes up from time to time. He'll go to Thakur's room. He'll tell him that now puja is starting, this and that. He doesn't play a very significant role, not like some of the others. But he lived at the temple garden area. Master, Ram's presence in the temple garden has relieved us of many anxieties. He searches out Harish, Latu, and the others at mealtime. Harish and Latu were both living with Sri Ramakrishna then. Rakal off and on. Baburam a little later. Very often they are absorbed in meditation in some corner of the temple garden. It is Ram who sees that they eat at the proper time. Okay, so now we're going to Saturday, September 6th, 1884. So this is, the first entry was August 3rd. So it's over a month later. And we'll finally get to Adhar's house. About 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Sri Ramakrishna was seated in Adhar's parlor on the second floor. Narendra, the Mukherjee brothers, Bhavanath, M, Hazara, and other devotees were with the master. The Mukherjee brothers also come up quite often. One was Mahendra and the other Priyanath, I think. And they had a flour mill that they owned, so they didn't really work too much. They were half retired or something, and they were very devoted to Sri Ramakrishna. He also liked them. So their names come up quite often. Arrangements were being made for Narendra to sing. While he was tuning the tanpura, one of the strings snapped, and the master exclaimed, "Oh, what have you done?" Narendra then tuned the drums. The master said to him, "You were beating that drum, and I feel as if someone were slapping my cheek." Referring to the kirtan, Narendra said, "There is not much rhythm in the kirtan. That is why it is so popular and people love it so much." Master, how silly. People like it because it is so tender and full of pathos. Now we have 3 instances of Sri Ramakrishna half scolding or being a little short with Narendra. And this is also that period when he hasn't been coming so often and trying to find a job. His father had died and everything. But the one thing that also strikes me here is that Narendra never took anything personally. Others might get a little offended if the feelings would be a little bit hurt. Okay, then I won't sing. But he doesn't take it. There's another incident where Sri Ramakrishna asked him to sing, and he says, "I'm not feeling well today." And he says, "Oh, then we won't bother you. You're too big and everything." So he doesn't say anything. He says, "Okay, so I'll sing." So he didn't take things personally the way we normally do. So then it's just Narendra saying, "Sweet is thy name, O refuge of the humble. It falls like sweetest nectar on our ears and comforts us, beloved of our souls." He sang again, "O Lord, must all my days pass by so utterly in vain? Down the path of hope I gaze with longing day and night. Thou art the Lord of all the worlds, and I but a beggar here. How can I ask of thee to come and dwell within my heart? My poor heart's humble cottage door is standing open wide. Be gracious, Lord, and enter there but once and quench its thirst." Master Duhazara smiling, "That was the first song he sang for me." Now, I don't know exactly what this means. If it's the first song he sang in Dakshineswar, he sang for him earlier at Surendra's house. Yeah, but I don't think Thakur paid so much attention. We always hear about this Monocholo Nijo Nikintoni. It's the song, but it may be he sang this first. Then when he sang that other song, that's when Sri Ramakrishna went into that mood and touched him and said, "Come to the north veranda," and everything. But here he mentioned specifically that this was the first song that he sang. Narendra sang 1 or 2 more songs. Then Vaishnav Charan. This is not the Vaishnav Charan of that Kartavaja sect. This is the kirtan singer. And then I mentioned before that Sri Ramakrishna had asked him that he sang at Adhar's house. We find him all over the place. But they hired him. Ram would hire him sometimes. He would come to Dakshineswar sometimes. He was just a professional kirtan singer, but very devoted, and everyone seemed to like him very much. Then Vaishnav Charan sang, describing the grief of the gopis at the sight of Krishna as king of Mathura. King of Mathura, that meant that he had left them behind. They were in Vrindavan, and he was no longer just that simple cowherd boy. Now he was a big king with his pagri on and everything. "Oh Hari, how shall we know you now? In Mathura's royal splendor, you have forgotten us." Master, won't you sing that one? "Oh Veena, sing Lord Hari's name." The Vaishnav Charan saying, "Oh Veena, sing Lord Hari's name. Without the blessing of his feet, you cannot know the final truth. The name of Hari slays all grief. Sing Hari's name. Sing Krishna's name. If only Hari shows his grace, then I shall never be distressed. O Veena, sing his name but once. No earthly gem is half so rare. Govinda says, in vain my days have passed. No longer may I float here in life's trackless ocean waste." Govinda will be the name of the author. Yeah. They do that with these songs. I don't know exactly who it is. That may just be his pen name also. While listening to the song, the master became abstracted, saying, Ami, Ami. He went into samadhi. The devotees were sitting around him, their eyes riveted on him. The room was filled with people. The musician sang again. As he improvised new lines describing ecstatic love of God, the master stood up and danced. He himself improvised lines and sang them with outstretched arms. Soon he went into samadhi and sat down with his head resting on the bolster in front of him. Yeah, when Sri Ramakrishna was in samadhi, he didn't always have control over his limbs, his body, and everything. If you look very carefully at the statue and also the picture photograph that we have, you'll see his neck is bent to one side. If you ever take that photograph and put it in front of a mirror, you'll see it looks so distorted and everything. And sometimes he could just sit down on his own. Sometimes he could even fall. This is why he needed the Baburam and others to be with him. If he went into samadhi standing up, they would have to hold him. So because he had no awareness of the body at that time. And yeah, we know the story when they took the photograph of him, that they tried to move his head to straighten it out, to lift it up a little bit. Well, the whole body came off the ground. There was nothing ordinary about the samadhi that Sri Ramakrishna had. And Sri Ramakrishna danced a long time in the company of the devotees. When he resumed his seat, still tinged with the lingering glow of divine fervor, he asked Narendra to sing, "O Mother, make me mad with thy love." This was one of his favorite songs. This was the Brahmo song, Trailokya Sanyal. Narendra sang, "O Mother, make me mad with thy love. What need have I of knowledge or reason?" Master, and that one, upon the sea of blissful awareness? Narendra sang, "Upon the sea of blissful awareness, waves of ecstatic love arise. Rapture divine, play of God's bliss. Oh, how enthralling." Master, and that one too, in wisdom's firmament? Perhaps it is too long. Do you think so? All right, sing it slowly. Yeah, both Sri Ramakrishna and Narendra had a huge stock of songs. And Narendra, of course, he knew many of the songs from the Brahmo songbook. And they had kind of a choir or something that he would sing there and everything. But just that brilliant memory and everything. And for Sri Ramakrishna to have all these songs committed to memory just by hearing them. He didn't read, didn't have songbooks and things to look at. But the number of songs that he knew was just incredible. Narendra sang, "In wisdom's firmament, the moon of love is rising full. Ah, love's flood tide, in surging waves, is flowing everywhere. O Lord, how full of bliss thou art, victory unto thee." Master, and won't you sing that one, the wine of heavenly bliss? Narendra sang. He's singing so much. You know why he's singing so much? Today's his birthday. Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to mention that earlier. According to the TT, that this is his actual birthday falls on today. So they had a big pujan celebration in India earlier. We'll have ours on Sunday. Narendra sang, "Be drunk, O mind, be drunk with the wine of heavenly bliss. Roll on the ground and weep, chanting Hari's sweet name. Fill the arching heavens with your deep lion roar, singing Hari's sweet name. With both your arms upraised, dance in the name of Hari, and give his name to all. Swim by day and by night in the bliss of Hari's love. Slay desire with his name, and blessed be your life." The master improvised. Be drunk with prema and weep, chanting Hari's name, and be mad with divine fervor and weep, chanting his name. Sri Ramakrishna and the devotees rested a while. Narendra said to the master in a low voice, "Will you kindly sing that one?" Master, my voice has become a little hoarse. After a few minutes, yeah, this voice coming hoarse, we don't know if that's the beginning, bad sign. After a few minutes, he asked Narendra, "Which one?" Narendra, "Gaur, whose beauty delights the world." Now, this is also interesting because we have a picture of Swamiji as everything heroic, and this Radha Govinda and the Chaitanya Leela and all of these things that didn't really suit his temperament, that he was a Shiva person and all of that, later Kali, of course, but actually he was very fond of these things. And we find him singing some of these songs about Radha and everything and weeping. And at the very end, the last chapter of the gospel takes place after Sri Ramakrishna passed away. And there's an incident where there's a reading from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. That was one of the books they were reading at that time, some group reading. And someone was making fun of it, one of the brother monks. And Swamiji got very angry and snatched it from him. "This is the way you spoil a good thing," he said. So he had great respect for these things. It's also true that he thought that heroic attitude was more necessary for India at that time, and that a lot of too much of this Radha Govinda type of attitude had taken away the spirit of the youth of India. So that's also true, but he really appreciated all of these things, very much so. So Narendra, please sing that one, Gaur, whose beauty delights the world. Sri Ramakrishna sang, describing the beauty of Sri Chaitanya, who has brought Gaur to Nodia. Gaur means Chaitanya, Nodia means Navadvip. Gaur, whose beauty delights the world. His face, covered with ringlets of hair, shines like lightning against a dark cloud. Again he sang, this time about the grief of a gopi at her separation from Sri Krishna. I have not found my Krishna, O friend. How cheerless my home without him. Ah, if Krishna could only be the hair upon my head, carefully I should braid it then, and deck it with bakul flowers. Carefully I should fashion the braids out of my Krishna hair. Krishna is black, and black is my hair. Black would be one with black. Ah, if Krishna could only be the ring I wear in my nose. Always from my nose he would hang, and my two lips could touch him. But it can never be, alas. Why should I idly dream? Why should Krishna care at all to be the ring in my nose? Ah, if Krishna could only be the bracelets on my arms. Always he would cling to my wrists, and proudly I should walk, shaking my bracelets to make them sound, shaking my arms to show them. Down the king's highway I should walk, wearing my Krishna bracelets. It's an interesting theme for a song. The music was over, and the master began to talk with the devotees. Master, smiling, Hasura danced. The Hasura was the real Jnani. Even he got swept away a little bit with emotion. Narendra, yes, a little. Master, a little. Narendra, yes, his belly danced too. All laugh. Pandit Shasidar's host had been thinking of inviting the master for dinner. Yeah, somehow the Shasidar, he was staying, and I don't know where he lived or anything, but he had been invited to that area and was staying somewhere near M's house, I think. They were all in the northern Calcutta area at that time. Master, I've heard that his host is not an honest man. He is immoral. Narendra, that is why you didn't drink the water he touched. It happened the first day you met Shashidhar at his house. This is Narendra, he observed everything. He would watch all these things. Why did he not touch this water? Why would he put this down? Why didn't he take that? It happened the first day you met Shashidhar at his house. How did you come to know he was immoral? Master, smiling. Hazara knows of another instance. It happened at Shihur in Hridoy's house. Hazara. The man was a Vaishnava. He came with me to see you, to see Sri Ramakrishna. As soon as he sat in front of you, you turned your back on him. Master. We learnt later that he led an immoral life. To Narendra. You used to say at first that these were all hallucinations. Narendra, how was I to know? Now I see that you were always right. Yeah, that everything matches. That when he would have a premonition that something would happen, it would happen. When he couldn't touch some food because the character of that person, they would find out that the person had bad character. Touching money, all sorts of things. Narendra was skeptical about all of these things. And Thakur liked it. He didn't mind at all. Yeah, you can test me. I don't mind. And after a while, he said, I don't understand, but I can't doubt these things because I see each time it's right. Yeah, how can I doubt it? He had a very scientific attitude to these things. So Narendra, how was I to know? Now I see that you were always right. Adhar had prepared a feast for the master and the devotees, and now he invited them to the meal. The master said to the Mukherjee brothers, what? Won't you eat? They said humbly, please excuse us. Now we've come across this before. There's a hesitation by some of the Brahmin devotees to eat at the house of the non-Brahmin. This Adhar, they say that he belonged to a low caste. Not that he was an outcast or anything, but in those days, they were very particular about these things. Yeah. And my understanding, after reading that book about Kolkata, is that it was like a small town in those days. Everybody knew everybody's business. There's one person, he eats in the house he's not supposed to. Everybody knows about it. And people will talk and everything. Yeah. So they were a little particular about these things. So they're not saying anything. Just please excuse us. And knowing that Sri Ramakrishna will also understand what the situation is. Master, but why? You're doing everything else. Why this hesitation only about eating the meal? Now, this is something that was one of the most important aspects of all these caste rules, who you can eat with, dining together. Of course, marriage was maybe the most important thing, but they can go to their house, they can sing and dance, they can do everything with them when it came to food. Or sometimes you could take some light meal, but not real food. Real food means rice. So they had all of these restrictions and distinctions. Not necessarily that they were very devout people. It was just a cultural thing at that time. Adhar was a low-caste Hindu. Therefore, some of the master's Brahmin devotees hesitated to eat at his house. They came to their senses at last when they saw Sri Ramakrishna himself eating. Now, Sri Ramakrishna, there were two things that he used to say with regard to the caste business. One is that he didn't come to break any of these customs or anything. He said, like those fools the Brahmos do. These things have to naturally run their course. Second thing was that there should be no caste distinction among devotees. And this we find in the Chaitanya tradition also. So he especially would talk about that, not that he's trying to be a revolutionary, a reformist with regard to caste rules and distinctions, but he wanted them all to feel that they belonged to one family. They should all be able to eat together and everything. It was about 9 o'clock. The master was resting in the drawing room with the devotees. He would soon leave for Dakshineswar. The Mukherjee brothers had arranged with the singer of kirtan to entertain the master the following day. Ram was taking singing lessons from this musician. Sri Ramakrishna asked Narendra to come to Dakshineswar to hear the kirtan. Master to Narendra, come tomorrow, won't you? Narendra, I shall try, sir. Now, Narendra, Swamiji, was very, very cautious about making promises. Even before coming into contact with Sri Ramakrishna, he practiced this tremendous devotion to truthfulness. There's one incident that I recently saw. I hadn't seen it earlier. That Sri Ramakrishna was in his room, and he said, "Has Narendra come?" He said he would come today. So they went to look for him. They saw that he was waiting outside. So they said, "Well, why haven't you come inside?" He said, I told the master that I would come at 4:00 today, and it's not yet 4. So he was waiting till that time exactly. So he had tremendous devotion to the truth. So he'll say, "Yeah, I'll try, but I won't promise." So it's I shall try, sir. It turns out he wasn't able to come. Master, you can bathe there and also take your meal, pointing to M. He may dine there too, to M. Are you quite well now? I hope you are not on a diet. I mean, a sick diet. Yeah, he had. That was one of the most important parts of medical cures in those days. Some special diet that they would be on. M. No, sir, I shall come. Nitya Gopal was living at Vrindavan. Junilal had returned from Vrindavan only a few days before. These are young disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, or devotees at least. And the master inquired about Nitya Gopal. Nitya Gopal is the one that Sri Ramakrishna would often say he's now in the state of Paramahamsa state, that he would go into ecstasy and everything. But he never really, he used to live in Ramchandra's house. He never really became part of this whole inner circle. And there's a discussion at the end. Swamiji and the others are talking about him, and said, but the master never said that he belonged to this place, to this inner circle, even though we praised him so much. And he later became Avadhut. There are temples, and he had his own disciples, became a sannyasa and everything. What was his name? Gyanananda Avadhut. Yeah, there's a temple in South Calcutta to him. Yeah, the image is there and everything. As Sri Ramakrishna was about to leave, M saluted him, touching the master's feet with his forehead. The master said to him tenderly, "Then I shall see you tomorrow. Narendra, Bhavanath, please come tomorrow." Then, with several devotees, he set out for Dakshineswar. The other devotees returned home in the moonlit night, cherishing in their hearts the master's ecstatic music and dancing. So that was September 6th. So now this will be the very next day. Sunday, September 7th, 1884. This is chapter 27 at Dakshineswar. It was about 11 o'clock. The master was sitting in his room at Dakshineswar. He had not yet taken his midday meal. Arrangements had been made with the musician Shyamdas to entertain the master and the devotees with his kirtan. Baburam, M, Manomohan, Bhavanath, Kishori, Chunilal, Haripada, the Mukherjee brothers, Ram, Surendra, Tarak, Niranjan, and others arrived at the temple garden. Latu, Harish, and Hazara were staying with the master. When M saluted Sri Ramakrishna, the master asked, "Where's Narendra? Isn't he coming?" M told him that Narendra could not come. A Brahmin devotee was reading to the master from a book of devotional songs by Ram Prasad. Sri Ramakrishna asked him to continue. The Brahmin read a song, the first line of which was, "O mother, put on thy clothes." Master, stop, please. These ideas are outlandish and bizarre. This is the only time that we find Sri Ramakrishna really disliking a Ram Prasad song. The closest he comes is when Ram Prasad sings that song, This World is a Framework of Delusion. And he says, no, I like the other song better, The Mansion of Mirth. But he doesn't criticize the other one. This is the only one that he really didn't like. It's actually a nice song. Stop, please. These ideas are outlandish and bizarre. Read something that will awaken bhakti. The Brahmin read. Who is there that can understand what Mother Kali is? Even the six darshanas are powerless to reveal her. This was one of Sri Ramakrishna's favorite songs. He sings it many times in the gospel. The theme that we find in much of these songs to the Divine Mother is that the human intellect is incapable of understanding this divine mystery. We have this idea of Mahamaya, that really this whole universe is very mysterious, that it won't be through the intellect or the mind or the six systems of Indian philosophy, the six darshanas, that they'll be helpful to only a certain extent. They'll give a little indication of things, but this, the real meaning of this line is you won't get the vision of Mother. You won't find the vision of Mother in any of the six systems of philosophy. Yeah, so this is something that Sri Ramakrishna emphasized so much that at some point we have to dive deep and go beneath this mind level to the heart level and have some direct experience. And it'll be beyond this realm of logic. Yeah. This achintya. We have this school of Vedanta that emphasizes this idea that the ultimate truth is beyond all logic and reason. That defies this human mind, the ability of the human mind to understand. Master to him. I got a pain because I lay too long on one side while in samadhi yesterday. Yeah, a very common problem. We all get that sometimes. Huh? It sounds so offhanded, huh? And we would say, yeah, I slept funny the other night. Poor man in samadhi. I got a pain because I lay too long on one side while in samadhi yesterday at others' house. So now I'll take Baburam with me when I visit the house of the devotees. This is the same thing, to hold him up so he doesn't end up in some awkward position or something. He is a sympathetic soul. What is that? Dandi is something's more than a sympathetic soul. Yeah, yeah. It's a little stronger than a sympathetic. I mean, it's really loving, sweet, kind, loving soul. With these words, the master sang, "How shall I open my heart, O friend? It is forbidden me to speak. I am about to die for lack of a kindred soul to understand my misery. Simply by looking in his eyes, I find the beloved of my heart, but rare is such a soul who swims in ecstatic bliss on the high tide of heavenly love." Master, the Baul sing songs like that. They also sing another kind of song. Yeah, we've the whole section before was because these Bauls came from Shibpur. We had that long section. He spoke a lot about them, that they had a lot of these songs directly out of this Vaishnava tradition of the Chaitanya Deva, with Radha and Krishna and everything, and other types of songs. Master, the Baul sing songs like that. They also sing another kind of song. Stay your steps, O wandering monk. Stand there with begging bowl in hand, and let me behold your radiant face. According to this is Ramakrishna speaking, according to the Shakti cult, the Siddha is called a koul. Siddha means perfected soul, realized soul. And according to the Vedanta, a Paramahamsa. The Bauls called him a Shai. The Shai, go Shai. I think this is a form of Swami. Go Swami becomes Go Shai. That means a master, something like that. So the Baal is called Mashai. They say, no one is greater than a Shai. The Shai is a man of supreme perfection. He doesn't see any difference in the world. He wears a necklace, one half made of cow bones, and the other of the sacred Tulsi plant. He calls the ultimate truth Alek, the incomprehensible one. Probably Alakshya, Alek. The Vedas call it Brahman. About the Jivas, the Baul say, they come from Alek and they go on to Alek. That is to say, the individual soul has come from the unmanifest and goes back to the unmanifest. The Bauls will ask you, do you know about the wind? The wind means the great current that one feels in the subtle nerves, Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna, when the Kundalini is awakened. They will ask you further, in which station are you dwelling? According to them, there are 6 stations corresponding to the 6 psychic centers of yoga. If they say that a man dwells in the 5th station, it means that his mind has climbed to the 5th center, known as the Vishuddha Chakra. To him, at that time, he sees the formless. Yeah, we don't find any particular incident when one of these siddhas from the Baul tradition comes to Sri Ramakrishna. My guess is he knew most of these things through this contact with the Vaishnav Charan. And he went many times with him to attend some of their sessions and things like that. I think that was probably his main connection with his Baul tradition. Saying this, the master sang, within the petals of this flower, there lies concealed a subtle space, transcending which one sees at length the universe in space dissolve. Once a Baul came here, so at least one time, but it wasn't such a foreign tradition that we saw that group of Bauls had come to, so not like this was so esoteric that nobody knew about it, but he really knew quite a bit. So once a Baul came here, I asked him, have you finished the task of refining the syrup? Have you taken the pot off the stove? They would always speak in very cryptic type of mystical language. The more you boil the juice of sugarcane, the more it is refined. In the first stage of boiling, it is simply the juice of the sugarcane. Next, it is molasses, then sugar candy, and so on. As it goes on boiling, the substances you get are more and more refined. When does a man take the pot off the stove? That is, when does a man come to the end of his sadhana? He comes to the end when he has acquired complete mastery over his sense organs. His sense organs become loosened and powerless, as the leech is loosened from the body when you put lime on its mouth. In that state, a man may live with a woman, but he does not feel any lust for her. These Baul communities, there would be men and women living together. It could be husband and wife. Some could live strictly monastic type of life. Some would live like a common law of marriage type of situation or something. They were very free communities. There are a lot of options for these things. But those who practice any type of sadhana, men and women together, ultimately they were supposed to learn this perfect self-control over the senses. Many of the Bauls follow a dirty method of spiritual discipline. It is like entering a house through the back door by which the scavengers come. Now, people who don't know about India, when they first read these things, have to try to picture what does it mean. When I remember first reading it, what exactly? First of all, scavenger, we don't know what a scavenger is. The scavenger is someone who goes around and picks up things on the people have left or lost or something. The scavenger hunt. You can go find things and everything. And what is the back door? But the place where I stayed in India when I was there for 1 year, I saw exactly what the whole story was. That it was an old house, and the bathroom will be at the very end of back of the house, and there'll be a door there. that the door only goes into the bathroom area. So the scavengers, and before there's plumbing, he's the one who'll clean out the latrine and everything and take everything away and leave. So you can enter into the house through that. You have to, the back door means you're going through the bathroom, and then you can go from there, you can go in, but who will do that? And so Sri Ramakrishna used to say, yes, this is a path, but he would warn his close disciples especially, but this is not the path to follow. There's every danger of getting soiled and spoiled and everything. So he says a dirty method is spirit. So, and then it is like entering a house through the back door by which the scavengers come. One day I was taking my meal when a Baul devotee arrived. He asked me, "Are you yourself eating, or are you feeding someone else?" So that means that where is our sense of identification? Do I feel that God dwells within the heart, and I'm feeding God dwelling within the heart? Or do I feel that I'm the witness, just observing the whole thing? Do I feel that God is the real agent of action, and I'm the one enjoying everything? What is the spiritual attitude that one has? And Sri Ramakrishna, he used to go back and forth sometimes. He would also say, "Yeah, Mother, am I feeding you, or are you feeding me?" Because it just our sense of identification can swing back and forth a little bit. When the sense of I disappears, then Mother alone exists. And the sense of I is there. The two of them are there together, Sri Ramakrishna and the Divine Mother. So it's a very interesting question. That is it the higher state to feel that Mother is feeding me, that she's the real doer, and I'm simply the enjoyer, or is it a higher state to feel that I'm everything I do when I feed myself, it's an offering to the Divine Mother dwelling within the heart? Both are high spiritual attitudes. So he asked me, "Are you yourself eating, or are you feeding someone else?" The meaning of his words was that the Siddha sees God dwelling within a man. The Siddhas among the Bauls will not talk to persons of another sect. They call them strangers. The Bauls designate the state of perfection as the sahaja, the natural state. There are two signs of this state. First, a perfect man will not smell of Krishna. Second, he is like the bee that lights on the lotus but does not sip the honey. The first means that he keeps all his spiritual feelings within himself. Yeah, they also try to hide themselves. They try to appear like crazy people sometimes, and not let people know. He himself, he doesn't show outwardly any sign of spirituality. He doesn't even utter the name of Hari. The second means that he is not attached to woman. He has completely mastered his senses. Now, all of these things apply equally to men and women, because it wasn't a community that was just meant for men. The women also followed these things. The Baus do not like the worship of an image. They want a living man. That is why one of their sects is called the Karta Bhaja. They worship the Karta, that is to say, the Guru, as God. You see how many opinions there are about God. Each opinion is a path. There are innumerable opinions and innumerable paths leading to God. This, to me, is one of the most important teachings of Sri Ramakrishna, that we should never think that any one of these different spiritual systems or traditions or paths has any special claim to the ultimate truth. That they're all paths that can lead to the highest truth, and we have to leave them all behind. This is just the vehicle that will take us there, and then we have no need for it afterwards. This is a boat that helps us cross the river. Once we've done that, then we don't carry the boat on our shoulders. Then we go beyond all of these things. So this is why Sri Ramakrishna will never engage in the type of reasoning that will say, no, this is a fallacy, that this position is true and this one is false. He'll never do anything like that because he knows that it's a question of suitability. And there's another thing that I'm convinced of, that we choose a system of a logical system of thought based on what appeals to us, not always on logic. That it's something that we like it somehow. The other may be equally logical, but it doesn't appeal to us. So Sri Ramakrishna understood these things, and he said, yeah, you want the one that appeals to you. This, we all have a different taste, ruchi bheda. And we need the one that appeals to us, and we need the one that we're qualified to follow also. So this is why I see there's so many quarrels among even our own devotees, that there'll be so many times when Sri Ramakrishna will talk like an Advaitin, and there'll be other times when he'll talk exactly like this follower of Ramanuja, with Isabel Fruit and all of that. And they'll argue, no, he really believed this, he really believed it. He liked all of them and knew that the ultimate truth is beyond all of them. And that each one was a good framework for us to follow in order to go beyond them. That's all. There's enough that we get stuck in this idea of which one is right, which is wrong, which is logical, which has a fallacy and everything. They all have fallacies. There's not a single system that doesn't have a weak point to it. Some are more logical than others. Some appeal to us more than others. But this is exactly, I mean, each opinion, he's not even saying how many opinions. This really means traditions and philosophies and everything. It's good to remember that they're opinions. How many opinions there are about God. Each opinion is a path. There are innumerable opinions and innumerable paths leading to God. What is it? What? What's the word that he uses there? No, that's the standard one, but is he using that here? Huh? So he's using. Yeah, we sometimes also make the mistake that only refers to different religions. It refers to different philosophies also, philosophical systems. Bhavanat. Then what should we do, Master? You must stick to one path with all your strength. A man can reach the roof of a house by stone stairs or a ladder or a rope ladder or a rope or even by a bamboo pole. But he cannot reach the roof if he sets foot now on one and now on another. He should firmly follow one path. Likewise, in order to realize God, a man must follow one path with all his strength. This is called nishtha. This is a very, very important concept. But you must regard other paths, other views, as so many paths leading to God. You should not feel that your path is the only right path and that other paths are wrong. You mustn't bear malice towards others. Okay, let us stop here. Yeah. 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 When he says that the innumerable paths and everything, that they'll even within the path of devotion, there'll be all the different schools and everything. But this doesn't mean that we can choose whatever path we like. That this second issue is qualification. So when he gives his example of the mother feeding the child different dishes, that he says two things. She knows what type of food he likes, and she knows what type of food he can digest. So if there's a spiritual path that appeals to us, we like it. Advaita Vedanta, everyone loves Advaita Vedanta. But how many people can digest it, can really understand it? So it's not necessarily the best. So both things are there. It's not simply what appeals to us. What appeals to us and what we're qualified for, what will be most helpful for us. These are the two things we have to consider. This is why the guru is the most helpful person, because very often we'll take into consideration only what appeals to us and not what we're qualified for. So you're 100% right. That's for Sri Ramakrishna and for Sri Krishna and Gita also, that the path of the unmanifest absolute in everything is more difficult, and it requires tremendous renunciation and lack of identification with the body and other things. So for most people, this path of devotion in general is a easy going around the mountain without having to go a steep ascent. Path of knowledge is steep ascent. You can it's the shortest path, but the most difficult. There's some people, they simply don't have the strength to be able to do that steep climbing. They have to go around. So that'll be shorter for them, even though it's longer. Om Niranjanam Nityamanantarupam Bhaktanuham Bhatula Vikraham Vari Ishavataram Parameshamidhyam Tam Ramakrishna Shirasa Namah. We bow our heads before Sri Ramakrishna, who is stainless, of infinite nature, whose heart melts in sympathy for his devotees, who is an embodiment of the divine and the Supreme Lord, and ever worthy of our worship. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. Thank you, everyone. Sunday, we will have puja here at 11 o'clock in honor of the birth anniversary of Swami Vivekananda. So please try to come if you can. Thank you.